One of the areas that gets a lot of attention when it comes to modifying the AR is the foregrip area. Now, for decades, we've been wrapping our hand around plastic grips. Of course, originally they were triangular, then they went to round, and then we went to an oval. Now, for at least a couple of decades, it's been very popular to pull back on the magazine well to set the rifle into your body, especially for close quarters work, maybe something inside of your home, that defensive work that we're talking about. But this has also fallen out of favor because of recoil management and rocking. So what we ended up seeing were different options to integrate the hand with the foregrip out front besides just simply wrapping around. Now, if you do decide that you still like to just wrap around that foregrip and you have a railed gun, I'm going to strongly suggest that you get either soft or hard plastic rail covers for the areas that don't have accessories mounted on there already. When you reach up and grab around these sharp edges, especially under stress, under recoil, let's say that someone came around a corner and tried to wrestle the gun out of your hand. There's no reason to have this very sharp, very jagged edge pushed against your hand when you're trying to hold on to it for your life. Of course, just being startled and scared in the middle of the night, reaching for your firearm and grabbing it, you may, on one of these edges, which may not seem sharp as you're just handling the gun on the range or in your gun room, they may actually cut into your hand and cause an injury that you don't need, cause a distraction, cause discomfort. We're going to need things to be as good as we can when we set up our rifles for that worst case scenario, counter ambush moment. So putting rail covers on there is a great idea. Of course, this one does have rail covers on there, and I'm going to remove this rail cover here from the bottom because I want to talk about mounting some different types of foregrips. Now, vertical foregrips are popular with some people. Personally, I don't prefer them. Let's take a look at how they're going to mount. We're going to put them on the rail. We're going to tighten this back down, and that's going to lock this vertical grip into place on the long gun. Of course, there's also going to be opportunities to put different screws through the side, different ways of attaching this, and if we're going to use this and leave this on here, we'd make it much tighter. This is going to give me the opportunity to support the weight of the gun and pull the gun back into my chest, and as I said, many people really do like this. They like it a lot, and this is what they prefer to do. Now, I find this to be an extra extension, add weight in the front, although it doesn't weigh much, every little bit counts, and it gives us something else that can tangled up, hung up on our environment when we're moving around. Of course, our sling can also get wrapped around it when we have that 2-point or 3-point sling on there. The other thing is my hand, my support hand now is pulling down here and may or may not do really well controlling recoil. Now, just because you have this on your firearm or you handed a firearm that has one doesn't mean that you can't still wrap around here or even use this in some modified way to bring your thumb over the top to help control that recoil more but still interact with that. In that case, that's where we see things like these shorter grips coming into vogue. We've got this situation here which doesn't give us as much vertical stability or hand space, but will help us to accomplish that type of grip where we're still bringing our thumb up and over the top and pulling back with just a couple of fingers on what's left of the vertical foregrip. So I'm going to take this back off, and I want to look at one of the newer options that we have. Now, this is an angled foregrip instead of a vertical foregrip, the post that comes down from the rail. This angled foregrip is going to again mount on the rail. We're going to secure it with a screw. If we were going to leave this on here, it would be secured by a screw that attaches it to the rail and keeps it locked into place, moving forward or backward. And this is going to allow us to very comfortably fill our hand up here at the front of the gun and still wrap our thumb over. Now, some people don't like to wrap their thumb over. You're simply going to use this as your indicator that you're in the right place, and that's going to increase consistency. So we can lay our hand up in here. You can see that we have the same type of grip that we would have back here on a standard A2, some place to put our fingers, some place to know that we're interacting, whether it's one finger above, 2 fingers above, and then wrapping our thumb, or leaving that thumb straight along pointed with our bore. Either way, this option can also be set further back, so we can move it all the way back here. If you like that, you can support the weight more back here. You don't have to worry about being extended. So there are a lot of options with the angled foregrip as well. When it comes to modifying your AR, you want to make it comfortable for you to use, but you also want to make it efficient for you to use. Comfort for a long range session may not be the same as reaching into your closet and quickly getting that firearm up into a shooting position, being able to place rapid, combat accurate shots in your threat. That's the primary purpose for having the firearm. Think about that when you decide which foregrip modification you may want to use on your defensive AR. One area that you might want to look at doing some modifications for your defensive AR in are the internals. Thinking about, is the reliability there, are the factors that I want inside the gun that are going to work to help me place combat accurate rounds as often as I need to and as quickly as I can, are they going to be up to par? Are they going to be the ones I want? Of course, if you're buying from a quality manufacturer, your gun certainly starts with quality parts, but after years of use, after thousands of rounds of training, you may want to replace some springs, replace some parts that are going to allow you to have a more dependable firearm. Now, one area that we're not going to talk about modifying is the trigger. Trigger modifications are something that I definitely think you should consult a gunsmith on. Of course, there are drop-in kits, and if you're an experienced firearms owner who understands the internals and knows how to make those things work and fit together, by all means, if you want to do something with your trigger, consider it something you can take care of on your own. But I do, again, strongly advise you to go to a gunsmith for some of that stuff. One area that you might want to consider doing yourself, or again, consider going to the gunsmith on, is on the internals of your actual bolt. Now, different kits are available. And of course, if you have owned an AR for very long and if you understand how to maintain it, you're probably going to know how to take your bolt carrier apart and get into the parts area here where you're going to clean and make sure that you've gotten this ready to go for your next training session or that potential defensive situation. And what you're going to see here is that the extractor is an area that can get very dirty, and there's some springs in here. There's things that can go wrong with the extractor. It's a known failure point on the AR. So upgrading that, this particular kit has an upgraded extractor, has an upgraded extractor spring, and also has these gas blocks, these C-clamps that go back here, also upgrades on those. So that may be the kind of modification that you can do yourself, or again, that you want to go to a gunsmith for. Or you may want to look at just upgrading the springs for your extractor, just upgrading that situation, sticking with the stock part, but keeping those refreshed. Now, there will be a lot of different people who give you a lot of different schedules over time, number of rounds, when you always want to replace your springs inside of the bolt on the extractor. I'm going to leave that up to you to